There are people in this world who carry a quiet strength. They are the anchors in our emotional storms. They're the calm voice in a loud room. We call them the peacemakers. A peacemaker is not someone who avoids problems. That is not their way. Instead, a peacemaker is someone who walks toward the mess. They see the broken pieces and, well, they believe they can be put back together. Their deepest desire is for harmony, for balance and for connection. They believe that peace is not something you find, it's something you create moment by moment, conversation by conversation. The peacemaker's journey starts from within. It's a deep, personal commitment to understanding their own heart. They know that to bring peace to the world, they must first find it inside themselves. This is not an easy task. It requires looking at their own fears, their own hurts, and their own hopes with honesty. They learn to sit with uncomfortable feelings without running away. They practice self-compassion, knowing that they are worthy of the same peace they offer to others. This inner work is their foundation. It's the solid ground they stand on when the world around them feels shaky and uncertain. This calling to create harmony is a powerful force. It shapes how the peacemaker sees everything. They look at a disagreement not as a battle to be won, but as a puzzle to be solved. They see people not as enemies, but as individuals with their own stories and their own pain. This perspective is a gift. It allows them to approach difficult situations with a sense of curiosity and empathy. They ask questions like, what is really happening here? And what does this person need? This is the essence of their power, to look beyond the anger and find the human heart that is hurting underneath. So what does it mean to be a peacemaker? It means choosing courage over comfort. It means choosing connection over being right. It means believing that we are all fundamentally connected, and that one person's peace contributes to the peace of everyone. It is a path of quiet leadership and profound emotional strength. This essay is an exploration of that path. It's a look into the heart of the peacemaker, her struggles, her victories, and the lessons she learns about love, conflict, and the beautiful, messy business of being human. We'll see how she builds a life of balance and inspires others to do the same. The peacemaker has a special kind of sight. It's not with her eyes, but with her heart. She can sense the emotional weather in a room. She notices the small shifts in tone, the slight hesitation in a voice, or the tension in someone's shoulders. These are the invisible currents of feeling that flow between people. While others might miss these signals, the peacemaker feels them deeply. She understands that what is not said is often more important than what is. This awareness is her compass. It helps her understand the true landscape of a situation long before a conflict ever breaks the surface. This ability comes from a deep practice of paying attention. The peacemaker listens with her whole being. She's not just waiting for her turn to speak, she's trying to understand the experience of the other person. She notices the emotions that are hidden behind words. Is there fear behind that anger? Is there sadness behind that silence? This deep listening is a form of respect. It tells the other person, I see you, I hear you, you matter. This simple act of being seen can be incredibly healing. It's often the first step toward resolving any misunderstanding or hurt. Of course, feeling everything so deeply can be a heavy burden. The peacemaker must learn to manage this sensitivity. She learns to distinguish her own emotions from the emotions of others. This is a critical skill. It's the difference between empathy and overwhelm. She can feel someone's pain without drowning in it. She can understand someone's anger without taking it on as her own. This emotional clarity allows her to remain a calm presence, a steady hand, even when others are lost in their own emotional storms. It's a quiet, powerful form of self-care. This emotional awareness is not magic. It's a skill built through practice and a willingness to be present. The peacemaker knows that emotions are just information. They're signals that tell us what we need. Anger might signal that a boundary has been crossed. Sadness might signal a loss. Fear might signal a threat. By learning to read these signals in herself and in others, she can respond with wisdom and compassion. She doesn't judge emotions as good or bad. She simply accepts them as part of the human experience and uses them as a guide to create connection and understanding. When conflict arises, our first instinct is often to fight or to flee. We want to win the argument, or we want to escape the discomfort. The peacemaker chooses a third path. She chooses to stay. She chooses to breathe. She becomes the calm center of the storm. This is not a passive act, it's an active choice to regulate her own nervous system so she can think clearly and act with intention. Her calm is contagious. When one person in a tense situation remains grounded, it gives everyone else permission to lower their defenses and take a breath. The peacemaker's primary tool in conflict is listening. This is not a simple, passive act of hearing words. It's an active, engaged process of seeking to understand. She gives the other person space to share their full story without interruption. She listens for the feelings and needs that are driving their words. She might say things like, "Tell me more about that," or "What was that like for you?" These questions are invitations. They create a space of safety where vulnerability is possible. When people feel truly heard, their anger often begins to soften, replaced by a willingness to connect and solve the problem. After listening, the peacemaker takes responsibility for her part. This is a crucial step. In any disagreement, it is rare that one person is 100% right and the other is 100% wrong. The peacemaker looks for her contribution to the conflict, no matter how small. She might say, "I can see how my words hurt you, and I'm sorry for that." Or, "I realize I was not listening well earlier." This act of owning her part is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of immense strength and integrity. It disarms the other person and models the vulnerability that is necessary for true resolution. Finally, the peacemaker guides the conversation toward a solution. She focuses on shared goals and common ground. Instead of asking who is right, she asks, "How can we solve this together?" She helps reframe the problem from you versus me to us versus the problem. This shift in perspective is everything. It transforms a battle into a collaboration. By staying calm, listening deeply, taking responsibility and focusing on solutions, the peacemaker does not just end a fight. She builds a stronger, more resilient connection that is better prepared to handle the next challenge that comes its way. The peacemaker once found herself in a relationship with a playmate. He was full of light and laughter, his energy was infectious, and his spirit was wonderfully free. He lived for the moment, chasing joy and adventure wherever he could find it. The peacemaker loved this about him. He brought a sense of lightness to her life that she cherished. He taught her to not take everything so seriously, to dance in the kitchen, and to find beauty in the simplest things. Their connection was easy and fun, built on a foundation of shared laughter and genuine affection. However, the playmate's focus on fun sometimes meant he was less aware of deeper emotional needs. He would sometimes make plans without thinking or forget important conversations, lost in the excitement of the next adventure. In the past, this might have caused the peacemaker to quietly feel hurt, pushing her feelings down to keep the peace. But she was learning. She understood that true peace required honesty, so she learned to set gentle but firm boundaries. She had to communicate her needs clearly, even when it felt uncomfortable or risked spoiling the fun for a moment. One evening, he cancelled their quiet dinner plans at the last minute to go out with friends. The old peacemaker would have said, "It's okay, have fun," while feeling a sting of disappointment. The new peacemaker took a deep breath. Later, she said to him, "I love how spontaneous you are, but when our plans change suddenly, it makes me feel like my time isn't important. I need us to honor the plans we make together." She said it not with anger, but with calm clarity. She was not attacking him. She was sharing her experience and stating her need. This was a turning point. The playmate, who truly cared for her, listened. He had not realized the impact of his actions because she spoke from a place of love and self-respect, not blame. He was able to hear her. He started to become more mindful, learning to balance his playful spirit with a deeper consideration for their shared life. The peacemaker learned that setting a boundary was not an act of conflict, but an act of love. It was a way of honoring both herself and the relationship, making it stronger, deeper, and more honest for both of them. Before she learned the art of calm, the peacemaker was, drawn to a different kind of energy. She was in a relationship with the storm. He was passionate, intense, and just full of powerful emotions. When things were good, they were honestly incredible. Their connection felt electric, full of deep conversations and those thrilling highs. He made her feel alive in a way she had never experienced before. This intensity felt like a sign of great love, and she was swept up in the drama and the passion. She mistook the turbulence for depth, believing that such strong emotions must mean their bond was, uniquely powerful. But the highs always came with devastating lows. The storm's passion could quickly turn into anger. Even small disagreements would escalate into huge fights filled with harsh words and emotional turmoil. The peacemaker found herself constantly walking on eggshells, always trying to manage his moods and prevent the next explosion. She would suppress her own needs and feelings, believing it was her job to absorb his anger and keep the peace. She lost herself in the cycle of conflict and reconciliation, each reunion feeling like a victory that, at least for a little while, erased the pain of the fight before it. The relationship was honestly exhausting. The constant emotional upheaval left her drained and anxious. She was so focused on managing the storm that she forgot to take care of herself. Her own inner peace was gone, replaced by a constant state of alert. She began to realize that this was not a healthy love. True connection should not feel like a battlefield. It should feel like a safe harbor. The pain of the lows was beginning to outweigh the thrill of the highs. She understood that a love that costs you your own peace is just too expensive. Leaving the storm was one of the hardest things she ever had to do. It was a painful process of untangling her life from his, but in the aftermath she found a quiet space to heal. She looked at the wreckage and began to learn. She saw how she had abandoned her own needs. She recognized her pattern of trying to fix others to avoid her own discomfort. This painful experience became her greatest teacher. It taught her the vital difference between healthy passion and destructive drama. It set her on the path to becoming a true peacemaker, one who seeks a peace that is steady, resilient, and real. The peacemaker's past experiences, especially with the storm, left their marks. They were not visible scars, but emotional ones. She became very cautious with her heart. Intimacy felt risky. Getting close to someone meant giving them the power to hurt her, and she had been hurt badly before. So she built walls. They were not cold, angry walls. They were quiet, sensible walls, made of caution and self-protection. She was kind, she was a good listener, and she was a wonderful friend. But she kept a small, essential part of herself hidden away, safe from potential harm. This caution served a purpose for a time. It gave her the space she needed to heal and to find her own center again. She learned to be self-reliant. She built a life that was stable and peaceful on her own. She enjoyed her own company and no longer felt the desperate need for a partner to feel complete. This was an important and empowering stage in her journey. She proved to herself that she could be her own anchor. She was no longer afraid of being alone. In fact, she found a deep and satisfying contentment in her solitude. However, she eventually realized that her walls, which were built to keep pain out, were also keeping joy out. True connection requires vulnerability. It requires showing up with our whole hearts, not just the safe and polished parts. The peacemaker understood this intellectually, but putting it into practice was terrifying. It meant daring to trust again. It meant being willing to be seen, imperfections and all. It meant choosing courage over the comfortable safety of her emotional fortress. She knew that a life lived in complete safety was also a life lived at a distance from others. So she began a new practice, the practice of daring to be vulnerable. She started small. She shared a small fear with a trusted friend. She admitted a moment of uncertainty to her playful partner. She let someone see her when she was sad, instead of hiding away until the feeling passed. Each act of opening up was a small victory. It was scary, but it was also liberating. She learned that true strength is not about never getting hurt. It is about having the courage to open your heart anyway, knowing that you are resilient enough to handle whatever comes. In her quest for harmony, the peacemaker often became an expert at giving. She gave her time, her attention, and her emotional energy freely. She was the one friends called in a crisis. She was the one who remembered birthdays and offered a listening ear. Giving felt natural and good. It was a way she showed love and created connection. In her relationships, she found it easy to focus on her partner's needs, to support their dreams, and to provide a soft place for them to land. This role of the giver was comfortable and familiar, a core part of her identity. However, she was not as skilled at receiving. When someone offered her help, her first instinct was to say, "No, thank you, I'm fine." When someone gave her a compliment, she would deflect it. Accepting care and support felt awkward and unfamiliar. It made her feel vulnerable, as if she were a burden to others. This imbalance was subtle, but it was significant. By only giving, she was unintentionally creating a distance. She was not allowing others the joy of giving to her, and she was denying herself the experience of being cared for. The The peacemaker realized that a healthy relationship is like a dance. It requires a rhythm of give and take. If one person is always leading and the other is always following, it is not a true partnership. Both partners must learn to lead and to follow, to speak and to listen, to give and to receive. She started to practice the art of receiving. When her playmate partner offered to make dinner, she learned to say, "Yes, that would be lovely," and then to sit and let him care for her. It felt strange at first, but it was a necessary lesson in interdependence. This shift created a profound change in her connections. By allowing herself to receive, she invited others into her inner world. She let them see her needs and her vulnerabilities. This did not make her weaker, it made her more human. Her relationships became more balanced and reciprocal. The flow of energy went both ways, creating a stronger and more resilient bond. She learned that true harmony is not about perfectly managing everything herself. It is about creating a beautiful, balanced exchange of love and care between two whole people. The peacemaker carries her history with her, not as a burden, but as a source of wisdom. Her emotional scars from relationships like the one with the storm are her greatest teachers. They remind her of what she has survived. They are proof of her resilience. Instead of trying to hide or forget her past pain, she has learned to honor it. She understands that those difficult experiences are what forged her strength and clarified her values. She would not be the calm, compassionate person she is today without the lessons learned in the fire of past conflicts. This process of turning pain into wisdom requires deep self-compassion. The peacemaker had to learn to look back at her younger self with kindness, not judgment. She had to forgive herself for the times she stayed too long, for the boundaries she did not set, and for the needs she ignored. She recognized that she was doing the best she could with the tools she had at the time. This forgiveness was a powerful act of healing. It freed her from the shame of the past and allowed her to move forward with a lighter heart, carrying the lessons without the weight of regret. Now, when she senses a familiar pattern of unhealthy drama or emotional manipulation, an internal alarm bell rings. It is not an alarm of panic, but an alarm of awareness. Her past pain has become her internal guidance system. It helps her recognize red flags early. It gives her the clarity to say no to situations and relationships that threaten her peace. This is not about being closed off or cynical. It is about being discerning. It is about using the hard-won wisdom of her experience to make choices that align with her well-being and her deep desire for healthy connection. The peacemaker now sees that her scars are part of her story, and they are beautiful. Like the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold, her character has been mended with wisdom and self-love. The cracks are where the light gets in. They are what give her depth, empathy, and a profound understanding of human suffering and healing. She can sit with others in their pain without flinching because she has been there herself. Her past has not broken her. It has made her more whole, more compassionate, and more powerful in her mission to create peace. The journey of the peacemaker is not for a select few. It is a path available to anyone who is willing to walk it. It begins with a simple, courageous choice, the choice to turn inward. To become your own peacemaker, you must first learn to listen to yourself. What are your feelings telling you? What do you truly need? Spend a few moments each day in quiet, just breathing and noticing the emotional weather inside you. Do not judge what you find. Just observe with kindness. This is the first step to building a foundation of inner peace from which all else can grow. Next, practice the art of the calm response. When you feel a conflict brewing, either inside you or with someone else, take a breath before you react. This small pause is where your power lies. It is the space between a trigger and your response. In that space, you can choose. You can choose to escalate, or you can choose to listen. You can choose to blame, or you can choose to ask, what is really going on here? Start with small disagreements. Practice staying calm and seeking to understand rather than seeking to win. Each time you do this, you strengthen your peacemaking muscle. Learn to build healthy boundaries. A boundary is not a wall to keep people out. It is a line you draw to protect your own well-being. It is a loving message to yourself and to others about what is okay and what is not okay. Start by identifying one small need that is not being met. Maybe you need more quiet time, or maybe you need a friend to stop making jokes that hurt your feelings. Practice communicating that need with simple, honest I statements. For example, I feel tired and need some time alone is a gentle and powerful boundary. Finally, remember that this is a practice, not a destination. There will be days when you lose your calm. There will be times when you forget to listen. There will be boundaries that you fail to set. That is okay. That is part of being human. The goal is not perfection, it is progress. On those days, treat yourself with the same compassion you would offer a dear friend. Forgive yourself, learn the lesson, and begin again. Becoming a peacemaker is a lifelong journey of creating balance, one breath, one conversation, and one courageous choice at a time.